In 1929, archivists working in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace pulled a centuries-old piece of gazelle skin from a stack of uncatalogued antiquities. They had rediscovered a world map created in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and geographer Piri Reis. It is a dense, highly professional chart, filled with intricate coastal outlines and complex navigational lines. Piri Reis was a master of synthesis. To build this single world view, he compiled data from dozens of sources, captured Portuguese navigation logs, Arab maps of India, and records saved from Islamic libraries. This map is particularly significant because Piri Reis explicitly wrote that his depiction of the Americas was based on a chart drawn by Christopher Columbus. Since Columbus's own maps of his voyages have been lost, this parchment preserves his original geographical ideas. This verified missing link between Islamic science and the Age of Discovery is an undisputed historical treasure. But a specific section at the bottom of the map has led to a much more controversial interpretation. At the very bottom of the map, the eastern coastline of South America suddenly hooks 90 degrees to the right, forming a massive horizontal landmass. This horizontal curve is visually similar to the northern coast of Antarctica. This shouldn't be possible. The continent wasn't officially discovered until 1820, and on this map, the coast appears entirely free of ice. In 1966, Professor Charles Hapgood examined these outlines in his book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. Hapgood proposed that Piri Reis had used source maps drawn by a highly advanced pre-classical maritime civilization that had charted the globe around 10,000 BCE. To explain the lack of ice, Hapgood formulated a theory called earth-crust displacement. He argued the entire outer shell of the planet periodically slipped over its liquid core, meaning Antarctica sat in a temperate climate before shifting into the freezing South Pole. If true, this would require us to rewrite the entire history of human evolution and the timeline of global civilization. Modern geology and paleoclimatology provide a data-driven reality check for these claims, showing that Antarctica has been frozen for tens of millions of years. 34 million years ago, Earth shifted from a warm greenhouse to a cold icehouse climate, driven by plummeting CO2. Simultaneously, tectonic movements created the Antarctic circumpolar current. This massive circular flow thermally isolated the continent, completely cutting off the warm water currents. By 14 million years ago, the ice sheet reached its modern size and volume. This ice cap is a permanent multi-million-year feature of the planet. Human beings didn't even exist the last time Antarctica was ice-free. No human civilization could have mapped the ground there because the ice established cover long before hominins evolved. Hapgood also claimed the Piri Reis coastline matches the subglacial bedrock of the continent, but this ignores the basic physics of how land reacts to ice. In isostatic rebound, a colossal ice sheet physically crushes the continental bedrock deep into the mantle. If that ice melted, rising seas would immediately drown the sunken coastlines. Without the weight, the crushed bedrock would eventually spring back up, entirely changing the coastline shape. This is a map of the subglacial topography discovered by seismic surveys. An ice-free Antarctica wouldn't look like a solid continent. It would be a scattered archipelago of islands, bearing no resemblance to the solid coast Piri Reis drew. These ancient cartographers are a historical impossibility. Their supposed work contradicts the laws of geophysics. If it isn't a map of a lost civilization, why did Piri Reis draw a massive landmass at the bottom of his chart? The explanation is likely found in the physical limits of his materials. Piri Reis was trying to compile 20 regional maps onto a single piece of gazelle skin. As he reached the bottom edge of the parchment, he appears to have simply bent the long tail of the South American coast eastward so it would fit the frame. He was also likely referencing a geographic theory that dominated the era, the concept of terra australis incognita. Since the time of Ptolemy, mapmakers believed a massive southern continent existed to mathematically balance the weight of the northern lands. Including an imagined southern coast was standard practice for 16th century cartographers. This map doesn't need to be a relic of a lost civilization to be a masterpiece. Its value lies in what it actually records. The Piri Reis map survives as a snapshot of human knowledge, fusing Islamic scholarship with lost Columbian voyages into an enduring historical treasure.